what we're talking about tonight, vertical microdramas. What are vertical microdramas? Short, addictive, emotional, spicy, narrative series broken into 1 to 3 minute episodes you watch mostly on your phone. They live at the crossroads between Instagram and Netflix. They're mostly romance, but other genres are emerging and they're appearing on apps worldwide, and these apps are growing fast. Apps like Real Short, Drama Box, My Drama, Good Short, Flick Reels, Drama Wave, Net Short, Short Max. Some of them have shown growth of up to 4,000% over a year. So they are growing fast, including Movie Picks, which we'll talk about soon too. So let me just introduce our panelists. I'll have you guys come up one at a time here. First of all, Monika, why don't you come on up?
What?
This is Monika Dalman. She's a casting director and a producer. Monika, just I want you to grab the microphone and tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you to this side of the entertainment industry.
I was not prepared for this, but I would talk. What's the question again? How do I say myself?
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what is this word? Yeah. And what led you to this side of the entertainment industry.
So I started in casting traditional film and TV, and what led me into microdrama was a series of unfortunate events. I'm pretty serious about like actors' rights and like safety and equity on sets. And my first foray into the vertical microdrama world was, Alicia's looking at me, she's like, keep it positive. But anyway, it was a calling, and if I see that there's something that can be better, I like to try to help make it better. And I kind of learned that if something is here and it's not going anywhere, that it's a lot easier to try to make it better than it is to try to take down people that are not doing a good job. So that was kind of the angle that I took. And I'm glad that I went that direction with it, just because it is sort of not replacing film and TV, but it's definitely been a pretty cool alternate path for filmmakers and for actors to take while the industry, I say, hand sweep, sorts itself out. So it's been pretty cool to kind of watch it evolve. And I started in casting, but now we've become producers, which I'm convinced is something that happens to people and is necessarily something that they go into on purpose. But yeah, it's been a journey, and it's pretty fun, and I feel like we're still at the beginning, so it's still a great time to get in if you're interested.
Okay, cool. Alicia, why don't you come on? So this is Alicia Love Read. She's an actress and also a producer. So I first met you when you were in one of my shows on Yap TV, and you stole the show with your comedy acting skills, and now you're playing evil villains in Verticals.
I didn't.
So obviously an actress of massive range. Tell us about yourself and what have these vertical microdramas meant to you?
Well, first of all, thank you, Paul and Ciara and Rob and Suzette for having us here. And thank you for that intro. That was really kind of you. What do they mean to me? Well, they mean a few things to me. They've given me an opportunity to really stretch myself at a time in my life and in our region when opportunities weren't available to me. I took about a 20-year hiatus. I was active in the late 90s. Paul, I think you and I actually met back then. And when I came back, it was a very different landscape for many different reasons, post-COVID, and then strikes, and then I'm older, and then trends of just everything. So they've meant that I can work as an actor and as a business person. I saw a tremendous opportunity for myself to be able to leverage kind of into a career that I really wanted to pursue without having to leave Vancouver. But what they have really meant to me has been an opportunity to be part of a community of, sorry, you guys, I'm not sick anymore. And this is not like Tara Reid Party Boys. I love Tara Reid, by the way. I had COVID a month ago, so I'm still getting over it. But I very quickly recognized, this is my long-winded way of answering your question, that vertical microdramas have been sustaining livelihoods for 3 years now. Here in Vancouver, we estimate that we have stimulated about $60 million in production since 2024. The level of professionalism on our sets is incredible. I mean, we have network executive level producers and now directors, DPs, writers, crew on our sets. I shot in LA, we had an Emmy award-winning art department. So to me, it means sustainability and connectivity and longevity. That's my long-winded answer, sorry.
No, that's a very good answer.
Thanks for that.
And now together, you guys seem to have gone all in on this vertical sphere, having launched the Vertical Film and Short Series Alliance. So before I bring Julie up, just give us a quick little lowdown on what that is.
Well, I would just like to say first that we are officially a nonprofit now, which is very exciting because it's always our intention for it to serve Andy,
Where are you,
who is probably in the audience.
There he is, up there.
And he's our founder, and he did all the legwork for that because we were very adamant that it be a nonprofit, that it not be like a money-making venture for anyone involved. And basically, we realized very early on that these were never going to be entirely unionized spaces. And we noticed that a lot of people felt very strongly that, the rhetoric that we're told when I'm very pro-union for the record, but one argument we give people when we are talking about the value of unions is we always say to them, oh, without being in a union, you have no rights. And an unfortunate reality that's come of that sort of rhetoric is that people who are working in non-union spaces feel they don't have any rights. And we wanted there to be a space where we could educate people on the fact that you do have more rights in a union, you have people to help you, but you do have rights on non-union projects because we still have human rights and we still have labor laws and things like that. And so we wanted there to be an organization that would be there to support crew and cast and really even people above the line, especially because this is a great space to get into producing, so that they knew that they had support whether or not this space was unionized. What else? You may say more.
No, that was pretty good. I think,
Okay.
yeah.
And then Monika she also has a couple books on Amazon. If you look up Monika Dalman on Amazon, you'll find her book. She's holding one right now. You want to hold it up? So it is.
It's a proof copy. It's not like a real.
It's the Vertical Drama Pocket Guide. So if you really want to get into it and find out more than you can hear tonight, go check out her book on Amazon. Julie, why don't you come on up? This is Julies Bruns, actor and now producer. So I am very excited to have you on the panel because you are an inspiration. You independently produced your own vertical series and very recently sold it. So I'm excited to learn more about that, and we will get into that. But just why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what has your evolution in this vertical microdrama industry been like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I moved to Vancouver in 2014, I think it was, to be an actor, and that is the first love and the biggest love is acting. And I did that for years. Turns out I was really bad at waiting for the phone to ring. So I ended up, I think my first foray into other deeper waters was actually associate producing for Crazy Eights with Paul over there. And I did that for a couple of years, and that was if you could take film school and condense it down into the weeks where Crazy Eights happens, you see everything, and you learn how to fix everything. So it was really a wonderful experience to go through, and a huge part of my evolution as a filmmaker. From there, I kind of jumped into writing. I'd been a writer professionally before that. I forged into directing. All of this kind of took me back around to my first love, acting. And one day, a producer friend of mine messaged me on a very rainy Wednesday, and she went, "Hey, I don't know if you're still non-union, and I don't know what you're up to today, but like, do you want to come up to a random mansion in Shaughnessy and see this new weird film thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, you have me a weird mansion in Shaughnessy." So off we went, and we walk onto what ended up being my first vertical set, and all the cameras are on their sides, and you're like, "Ooh, weird." And from there, we kind of, me and my partner Steve, both jumped into acting in these. So I think now I've acted in about 25-ish of them, and he just finished his, or he's currently shooting his 50th. So that was going really well. And then at a certain point, we were like, "Oh, these are cool. I wonder. And Jen Cooper of Vertical Drama Love on Instagram posted something about, gee, it'd be nice if there was a pirate vertical. And I lived and breathed Pirates of the Caribbean when they came out, and I was like, yeah. And I was like, well, I'm like, somebody from LA is gonna jump on this, and they didn't. And I was like, the only way I'm gonna be able to do this and be in this and be part of this is if I'm the one who like nudges somebody into it. So I started talking to the clients on the sets we were acting on, being like, hey, pirate vertical. The response was just ubiquitous. It was, oh, that'd be so cool, so amazing, so expensive, so impossible. Never. How would we do that? And I think it finally hit after a number of times. I finally got another one of those, and I was like, it's not gonna happen unless we do it. And we're indie filmmakers, so we specialize in impossible. So I was on set shooting another project called Lance Thunder with Rob and a number of other people, and we suddenly were like, pirate vertical, and everybody was like, so cool, so hard, so impossible, let's do it. I'm like, yes. And so that's kind of what led us into the deep waters of independent verticals, literally.
Okay, very cool. So that's who we're talking to tonight. But so before we really get into it, what I want to do is so we got this beautiful screen, beautiful theater here. We're going to take 10 minutes. We're going to watch some of this. So you guys can take your seats. I will join you in a second. The first clip is Monika and Alicia's most recent series. It's called The Billionaire's Fake Wife. Alicia plays the villain. Monika cast it. Both of you were also producers on it. And this was for the app Real Short, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, something like that. And so, I've watched most of it, and having watched a bunch of these, I'd say this one was a really classic example of the genre, and it's also very well produced, very slick. And so we're going to look at the first couple opening scenes. So let's take our seats and we will watch. Not done yet. Here's one thing I want to get out of this conversation. Should I make a vertical?
Yes.
Well, I want to play out first, okay? Because I'm a producer, creator. I make low budget content mostly for my YouTube channel, and this industry, this genre has piqued my curiosity, but it's kind of interested to know if that might be something I'd want to do. So, okay, Monika, let's start with you. Can you just describe where this industry is, how it started, where it stands now? Are you able to kind of sum that up for us, from a business perspective?
I could explain this for many hours if I had to.
Okay.
She could fill it
Do less than 8 hours.
Okay, I'll try. So this industry started about a decade ago, and it started in Asia. And a huge piece of why it started was, and this is from an academic journal, I'm not making any of this up. It was not easy to do distribution internationally, especially in general, really. But to summarize, if you look at, these are appearing on apps, and the benefit of putting a film product on an app is that you have full control of distribution. And so, probably everyone here is a filmmaker right now. you'll notice that over time there are really only a handful of companies that are in charge of kind of deciding if your project gets to be made or not. And then YouTube is a really good example. If we're going to think about YouTube as, if we're going to think of YouTube as being a distributor, there are entire companies and businesses that are based on creating content for YouTube. And the way they get money is through whatever means YouTube itself decides. And there have been a few times in the past decade where YouTube has decided to change its payout model or change how often your products come up on an algorithm. And the second that they decide to change that model, they've now taken control over how your business can make money, right? And these first started in Asia and they were laying low. A lot of the reason why they lay low is because they were seen as being the equivalent of reels or just little apps. They weren't taken as seriously as traditional film and TV, and so the government regulations, they weren't bothering with these like little reels, as they called them. But once they started making more money and they kind of caught the attention of the government and the attention of people who create film regulations, there were lots of things that were happening. The content was not acceptable in China, so they moved outside of China to continue making this content. So they moved into Hong Kong, they moved into Australia, they moved into New Zealand, they moved into the UK. And then in about late 2022, early 2023 is when they moved into North America.
How big is it now? How big is this industry now?
Well, today I was reading a distribution document for an indie film that I'm casting that has like a $2.5 million budget, and it said in 2025, indie film brought in $1.6 billion in North America. And I was like, ooh, that's not a high number. In verticals did about 7 billion, and it's projected in 2026 to do about 14. And that's in North America, or is
That's global.
globally?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, and the numbers the budgets are very different too. And so I don't know, I feel like these have democratized filmmaking a little bit and made it more accessible for people to do.
Yeah, and it's like, I noticed just like some research I did, it's really diversifying and there's a lot more players getting into the game. Like I'm, on YouTube, and there's a famous YouTuber called Darman, and he's got 28 million subscribers. He just got a 40 series deal through Fox and their vertical thing. Disney is getting into the game. I had someone who had a contact at Disney. They've got they ordered like 20 based on their own internet intellectual property, and then TikTok is launching a thing called MicroDrama, which is will be a little sister app just for these things. So, any thoughts on what these types of moves mean for the industry?
Yes.
Oh.
I mean, it's difficult to know where things are going to go because so much of this we're not quite privy to in terms of the economics. But to your point about the origin, but ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, actually was one of the originators. So this format was apparently originated by a woman, as a matter of fact, intersecting entertainment and technology. By the way, we think of this as tech, not necessarily as traditional. It's obviously not traditional film and television. Never was meant to replace it, and probably certainly was never imagined that it would become what it is today, because of course we've done something with it. We've created our own system and skill set, and we can talk about that in a moment. But because this format, and it is a format and a genre, by the way. Actually, I'd just like to dial back for just a second, and you can give me the hand anytime because I can also filibuster this. Every microdrama is a vertical, but not every vertical is a microdrama. And I think it's important for us to distinguish that, especially, that was not a fart, by the way, those are my pants. I am on TCM though, and that does one thing. So it's important to distinguish that because a lot of noise right now is around verticals and the 9/16 frame, flipping the frame. But this is very, very specific. It is a format. You mentioned this earlier. So we have about a movie of the week length narrative that's broken up into 50 to 60, sometimes 80 episodes, 1.5 to 2 minutes in length. You do watch them in an app right now. So you have to download the app. You're paying to watch them. You usually watch about the first 10, and then you'll hit what we call a paywall, and you have to pay to watch the rest of them. And chances are you will, because the format involves a very specific formula, which is a hook, a spike, and a cliffhanger per episode. So you're going to want to keep watching. And then within that formula, there is kind of this genre that we refer to as a microdrama. Who here has heard of a telenovela? Okay, great. So essentially, these are telenovelas, maybe mixed with Homer. So the very outrageous situations, very high drama. That's also why you see a lot of the sort of performance elements that a lot of people like to kind of comment on, or, and so it really is like this mashup, just of things that we already knew about and we knew that worked that are now in this new format. So they've been around for a long time. They've been around now for 10 years in this particular format, watching them in and out. When we started making them here in North America, we started service providing for these apps that were, for the most part, based in China. Not just China. And we do have these apps in Japan. We have them in India, Korea, Ukraine. Now, of course, we're seeing lots of domestic movement, well, Europe, and of course here in North America. But the volume became so significant to the tune of, we right now still are making maybe 10 to 20 of these per month. I think now we're at about 25 a month.
In
Vancouver. We're making about 30 to 40 of these per month in Los Angeles. And again, this is a movie of the week length, almost feature length product.
The full crew.
With a full crew. Yeah. So most of the time we're on 2 cameras, sometimes 3. On our project, we had 2 units. We're crewed up to hoo-ha. With a budget of about $175,000 US. We're making about 3,000 of these globally. So where we sit now is very, very interesting inflection point. I'm going to answer your question more now.
Well, what's my question?
Where is this going?
Okay.
Where is this going, Alicia? So we're at this inflection point now where we see networks emerging with their divisions, announcing their divisions. We see, we hear talks about licensing and co-production deals and acquisition projects. It's going to be a very interesting 6 to 12 months because, again, the economics are still being worked out, especially because most of us, even on the inside, and even doing a co-production, we haven't seen a P&L. We haven't had, too much reporting, but we're going to start to see that happen. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when networks adapt the format and if they can do it properly for their audience. Yeah.
Is it the apps that are funding them for the most part, apart from like something like what Julie did?
Yes.
Is it like the apps?
Right now,
Yeah.
like what's really interesting is that we're starting to see more original IP. At first, literally the stories that came to North America were, and like a lot of things that exist in the vertical world are really criticized, but then if you use the Google website, you will find that these are not new things. Like localization was getting criticized today online, and localization of stories has happened since the 1950s. So they would take, it's actually really smart if you think about it. So the first stories that were shot here in Vancouver were literally exact copies of the stories that already performed well in Asia. And they would take the script and they would translate it directly, probably in like Google Translate or something. And then they would have somebody localize the script just so that everything was like culturally relevant. And if you look up the word globalization, which has been around since the 80s, it's the same thing as like if we have McDonald's in Japan, there's going to be foods that they have on the menu that we might not necessarily eat in North America, and vice versa. It's adapting a story and the norms to a different culture so that the story can function in that culture, which is why so many of these stories have things in them that when you might first have heard about verticals, you're like, oh my gosh, it might be something that North American culture doesn't take to as easily. And it would be the same if we took our stories and we brought them to China. There are things in our stories that they would be horrified by, right? But the original stories were just straight up, this did well in China, translate it, localize it, boom, let's make it. And they did find a pattern that those stories did do well. But now there's sort of a content shortage in a way where they've kind of made those stories and they're looking for new stories, which is really exciting if you're a filmmaker and all you want to do is make a thing, right?
So how approachable are these apps for a filmmaker?
Well, I think the past 3 months has made them less approachable because when the SAG agreement came out, which was like 4 months after the agreement that I made with the union, but whatever, no one's from that. But
She was first.
But
We were first.
suddenly the networks were like, oh my gosh, this is a thing. And so then anyone who'd been doing it for a few years was like, yes, we've been telling you that it's a thing. And all of a sudden they're like, slate of 40, slate of whatever. And they have no idea what they're doing. Like, they're just kind of like we'll read things in the trades that are being announced as new. And there are teams we've worked with for 3 years. They're trying to figure out, I think, how to adapt their existing business model to accommodate this new consumer behavior, right? But right now, if you're a filmmaker and you just want to make a thing, I think it's the easiest time ever to make a thing. Like, if you know how to approach it, because it is a little bit different than.
But does that mean doing what June did, or does that mean approaching the apps, pitching them, getting them to fund it?
Well, Julie has more balls than anyone I've ever met. And like, honestly, like, I would never, yeah, seriously, like, biggest balls in the room were right over there. Because I would never in a million years suggest, especially with vertical, to do an acquisition project without first at least doing a co-production or being on set, just because it is a very specific formula, right? And so, and very specific edits, and they know very much what works. And so you could bring your project to them and invest all this money. And like, it is rare to have success in this. Again, she's a goddess. But there were signs. She's been good at everything since I've met her. Like, I wouldn't suggest doing it that way, but I would suggest getting on the sets, doing some research. Number one, I would suggest downloading an app and watching them so you understand the format. But once you do that, I think acquisition is where this is going to be. I think a year from now, my prediction is that a lot will be acquisitions, but right now, service producing and co-producing is probably your safest way. Like, I'm all about mitigating risk.
Okay, and we're gonna dive deep into what you did in a second, but let me just ask you guys, like, do you guys do consulting work with like indie producers that are getting into this? Like,
A lot of the consulting work we do is with these networks. So when they're announcing in the trades that they are just launching this thing, I'm like, are you? Because you've been doing it for 3 years, we've been working with you. But yeah, because it is different. And like, one big producer that we work with, who's like the nicest guy on the planet, when he reached out, he was like, yeah, I should have come to you guys first, because like in our first call with the platform, we just offended them repeatedly. And I was like, yeah, that's a thing. It is like, when you go in to a pitch to pitch a platform, they're looking for something really different than if you're pitching like a traditional network. So we work with not just indie producers, but we're working with some pretty heavy hitters on how to adapt their traditional film and TV knowledge into something that is going to work with platforms.
So when we talk about what's coming next, we hope, so in my 20 years when I wasn't working in this industry, I was working as a trend forecaster and a brand architect for indie beauty brands who wanted to become acquire our goal, which involved a lot of disruptive innovation stuff. And so when I came back into this industry, I had a lens for things that were disruptive and of course recognized this as that. And when you have something really disruptive and innovative and smart, it doesn't necessarily take the place of, but it ushers in something new. Which isn't, I mean, that's in everything, right? Everything evolves and innovates. And so because now once we've in a way localized and localized the actual format, we now are taking ownership of it domestically. We have created a system. We have co-created the system and skill set. We now have like vertical vernacular. And so again, our hope and our vision is that we are moving into network ownership. We are moving into legacy studios, opening up their divisions, and they'll adapt the format and do it their own way. But our hope as a group really is to help bridge traditional film and television expertise with this new format to make sure that everyone understands it and is able to adapt it for their own use, whether that's going to be network or that's going to be also something indie, because we are seeing the whole UGC and indie creator space also opening up for self-distribution, which would be another amazing possibility.
The ultimate goal being to create safe and sustainable, meaningful work for filmmakers.
Everybody deserves to do what they love for a living, and wouldn't it be nice if we could all do what we love for a living?
Okay, Julie, let's get into your project. So it was self-financed. Can you walk us through how that worked? Like whose money was used? What motivated that decision? How nervous about taking this risk and making it on spec were you? Like, walk us through this.
Yeah, gosh. So we kind of made the choice to do this entirely indie because we wanted to be able to make exactly what we wanted to make, and there's ways in which we wanted to really push things forward a little bit. You know, having been on so many vertical sets between me and Steve, we had a really kind of a superpower, I guess, as an actor. Is you read a lot of scripts, and you read a lot of scripts that work and they're hits, and you read a lot of scripts that aren't, and you kind of get to hone the spidey senses of what's the thing that's driving this, and what's the stuff we can kind of like, yeah, let's try and see if it goes without that. So we were lucky enough to initially pair up with a local producer, David Abusafi, who is like one of the godfathers of indie film in Vancouver. There's a lot of films that exist because of that man. And I still don't really know if maybe he thought I was joking, or I was just like, hey David, you wanna fund a pirate movie? And he was like, sure. And I was like, you're in now.
So he put up some money.
He put up a lot of the money. We had Karen Smolinski, who is another just powerhouse. She did her own independent vertical Tides of Desire, which is also coming out on Movie Picks in April. She came in and also put in some money, and we had our incredible cast and crew also kind of act in kind of an investor type way, deferring payments, because we all just kind of, the way I pitched it to people was, hey, you know, it's an experiment. Frankly, it's a new format. We're going to try something that nobody's ever tried before. No promises, but I got a really good feeling. And it's pirates. Everybody hears pirates, and it's just like, I'm in. I'm like, are you sure? They're like, I'm in. So it was kind of a project that I think motivated a lot of people.
And how did you approach the market after producing it?
We got really lucky, and I think this is not something that anybody, you know, I want a big caveat on it where it's like, I'm glad we did it exactly the way we did it. I'd say anybody who is looking into doing it, do your research and be very, you know, aware that it's a big risk. It's kind of, you know, don't spend money you can't afford to lose, because that's just
Did you have a distributor or like a sales agent, or like just do it on your own?
We didn't even find a distributor because we were so new that everybody were like, is there a trustworthy distributor? And I was like, no. And about 2 weeks after we started working on distributing it, suddenly there were tons of distributors, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I don't believe any of you. But we kind of jumped in and we got really lucky because we filmed the first 10 episodes as a proof of concept, cut together a trailer, premiered that online at VertCon, which was a big online vertical convention, and the market kind of approached us. Suddenly the phone started ringing and Instagram messages started popping in, and we went, oh, we've got to go finish this now, because there is.
So when they approached you, like, what were they saying?
Yeah, just when is it done? No, when will it be done?
So it wasn't like, here's an offer or anything like that?
No,
Just,
no.
You're just like interested, we want to see it.
To be fair, we didn't really ask for an offer because I had a script and a thing that I wanted to do with it. And we all kind of had that internal discussion of like, we wanted to be able to make the creative decision. And I think that's one of the things that if anybody's giving you their money, whether it's one of these apps, whether it's a network and you're doing TV, if somebody's giving you money, it usually comes with strings where it's like, this is what you're doing. And we all were too indie and free-spirited for that at the time.
Okay, so tell us about the decision to make it more PG. And why did you do that? And how did that affect its marketability?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that necessarily PG was a really, we didn't go in and go, oh, we really want to make sure that we hit a
But it's
certain-
like, it's not as spicy
No.
as like the other one thrown around the
Oh, yeah.
table and keeping the stuff aside.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think it was one of those things where rather than necessarily going, oh, we want to keep it tame, it was just like, we're tired of slapping and
People are
it's
different
pirates.
and let's not torture them.
It's still pirates. People get stabbed. People get shot. Like
Yeah.
it's definitely things happen, but it's more aligned with like the Princess Bride or Pirates of the Caribbean than it is with
Princess Bride popped
Yeah.
in my head as well.
very much.
Yeah.
So things happen, but I'm like, you know what? We can do drama, and we can do it a little bit different. There's so many verticals, and like I said, acting is my first love. I've done 25 of these. If I loved the entire if I just wanted to do that on repeat, I totally could. I wanted to do something a little different.
So, but did it affect its marketability? Because the tradition is spicier stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a range of verticals. There's some verticals that are very low spice as well.
Right.
But that said, I think it's an interesting vertical where I'm like, yeah, if you're 12-year-old kids wanting to watch something on their phone, like totally they could watch this.
Okay.
I think it's something that we looked at and we went, it wasn't necessarily something where we were like, it must be, but I'm like, as a producer, I'm building in whatever I can to make sure as the market opens up and blooms and turns into whatever it's turning into, it can fit into a lot of spaces that maybe don't exist as we're doing it, but are coming up.
And did you end up pitching it to a lot of places, or so Movie Picks bought it, and I don't know how much you want to reveal, but did you pitch to multiple places, or when did Movie Picks come in?
Oh, we kind of got lucky again. I think a lot of people were coming to us. I don't even know that we pitched so much as people were wanting to meet with us, and we had a lot of conversations.
Do you think they came to you because you had something different in a pirate one?
Oh, yeah.
If you had just made a regular one that everybody's seen and done before?
It would have been a lot harder. I think
Right.
I'd say we really lucked out with Pirates, but I think it was a very much a very careful choice to make something that was going to be, like I said, everybody we talked to was like, that'd be amazing. How would we ever make it? And I'm like, well, we can do that.
You also know, if I may,
Yep.
you knew the format inside and out. You are a writer. You guys have been in so many. You cast yourselves. You're known, and you used a hot known actor too. You did all the right things.
Producer mind, for sure.
And if you were to do it again, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
Oh God, would have gotten a little more money and shot it horizontally at the same time.
And so do people do that? They shoot high res horizontal and they just crop in?
I've been in
Is that-
horizontal verticals before. There are apps.
Or are
that
they
have-
still flipping the camera?
No, you're still shooting this way, but you're also shooting this way. There are cameras that you can do both, apparently. But there are apps where you can watch a vertical, and then if you want a wide, you just turn your phone, and it opens up. It's actually kind of magical and cool.
Oh, and it
But-
turns it horizontal.
Yeah, I mean, that's not traditional.
I mean, most of the network ones that I've cast or consulted on, they're shooting both, and I think it's just distribution. They want to keep distribution options open,
Right.
so that if they want to put it on
Horizontal.
some sort of viewing screen that is horizontal, they have the option.
Right. Yeah, because I had heard a rumor that a lot of in Asia they were shooting more horizontal.
Yeah.
But that's just
Yeah. They're doing all kinds of things now in Asia too. The whole AI thing is becoming a really big deal. They're doing AI human low budget. But conversely, some of these, some of the bigger apps now have 10, well, I was just talking to Annie about this, I don't know. Budgets have become 10 times what they are now. And they're producing prestige premium microdramas where their actors are now like A-lister microdrama actors with brand partnerships. And they're doing those sets. I mean, it's crazy. They're doing some crazy things.
Well, okay, the budgets are really important to talk about because even if your budget is 10 times more, you're still not talking enormous budgets. Like the network, some of the network ones that I've worked on, they were like a $350 USD budget, which is still twice what a normal budget is. But you have to think, like, the fascinating thing about all of this is that the story is really central to the DNA. Like, how much would you love it if you pitched a project and the story mattered? Like, I work in casting, I'm in development on 11 features. Today I was told by one company they will only have Matt Damon. And I was like, Matt Damon is not even right for this role. But like, the way we make decisions in film is so discouraging, right? Like in vertical, the first thing the platform cares about is the story. And to me, that is so much better. Like, wouldn't it be great if your story mattered first and then Matt Damon mattered like later in the story? But then they don't even want Matt Damon in a vertical. Like, I think I was very excited the first time I interacted with the platform. I mean, yeah, platform, because I was like, oh, and this Hallmark actor is interested. And they're like, oh, well, they'll have to tape. And I was like, oh, like, yes, they should have to tape, right? Like, so it's about the story. Then it's about, do the actors fit the story? It's not like, are they famous or how many followers do they have? And that's very comforting to someone who has sat for years in development on some projects and then is told they can only hire Matt Damon. I digress.
Okay, so about story, how, like, I want to talk about like the evolution of this, because one of the criticisms of the format is that like they're all the same. I heard some people being interviewed like back in the earlier days. It was just like, this is the same story as this one. They didn't even change the characters' names.
Okay.
They've done that.
Yeah. So what, relying too heavily on the same melodramatic formula. Now Hallmark does it, and they're still chugging along. Like even Julie, yours is different in a lot of ways. It still has some of the similar kind of story points. The guy, pulling the heroic, intro of the handsome man and all that. Can the industry evolve, with the same formula, or how much do we foresee this formula evolving?
Okay, well, first of all, we've sat with many producers, many executives from networks, and anyone who has criticism has watched a total of 0 of these stories, right? So a lot of times they come in and they're like, oh yeah, everything I do is so much better than this. Let's just start off that way. And then let's talk about how many I've watched. 0. And we're like, okay, cool. Well, maybe we'll meet with you another time, because you never go into a Hallmark pitch or a Lifetime pitch and be like, I've never watched this and it's garbage, but here's my story, you should hire me. And so we're like, how about we talk at a different time? I usually just leave, and Alicia's a nice person, so she'll say like,
Hey, Felicia.
I'm like, I'm good, I have another call. But
Yeah,
but I feel like they aren't the same story. But if you look through history, there are so many theories of story and writing where they talk about how it's all the same 20 situations. Yeah, it is. Every story is the same 20 situations or whatever. But the way these are written, they are as different as a horror film is different from another horror film. But it is a specific genre. So of course you're gonna have a lot of the same tropes. You know what works, right?
I think we should also
It's not
touch on
unique, I guess.
no. The predictability is something that the audience really needs, and also the material is data informed. It's all based on analytics because, as we mentioned earlier, the origin is from tech companies like Dance. And so they know to the millisecond what word works. Like you have to have the word poison in your script. You can't take the word poison out. They know what kinds of reactions work. It's also how we've sort of figured out what works in the frame. Your eyes always you have to see both eyes all the time. You can't enter a frame saying your line. You have to hit your mark first and then say your line. It's because of the analytics. It's wild. And so the predictability though is really important because these are built so the audience doesn't have to work very hard. It's our demographic is mostly women. She needs to know immediately who the heroine is, immediately who the villain is, and she needs to know that everything's going to be okay at the end, just like a Homer. And so that predictability is really important. And another thing to note too is that this is a private viewing experience. So you don't watch this with your friends, you watch this by yourself. And you watch this at very specific times a day, or you've got, you have your routine with it. And so it really is built for that viewing experience. So that's also why it's important.
All right. And then can you think of any projects that have broken the mold? Like, have we heard of any horror, comedy, rom-com? She's got an adventure one. There been any others that we can think of that have succeeded?
Yeah, there have been a
Definitely.
lot. I maintain is it off? I maintain that any genre could exist in the vertical world. It's just a matter of hitting the story beats and getting the correct number of acts in and following the formula. But I really believe it can work with any genre. There have been some horror. There have been adventure. I think right now the audience it is who the audience is. Like these werewolf love stories that I now know way too much about are really popular. I don't know, don't Google Omegaverse, especially not around your children. But I think part of why they do so well is because there's not, like, other than Twilight, there's not really another place to watch things like that. But with horror, you have other places to watch it. So I feel like it will take a little bit of time. It's the same with any network. Like, you would always gear your content toward your viewer. And so it makes sense that Hallmark is what it is and Lifetime is what it is. It's all about knowing your brand, right? And that's where networks will come in, is they'll start creating content that is suitable for a vertical audience, but that's based on their existing.
By networks, you mean the apps, right?
No, I mean actual networks. Basically every network right now is trying to figure out how to adapt their existing content or their existing business model so that they can kind of stay ahead, right? That's just how business works, right? So it'll look a little different. Sometimes, like, some of these networks are definitely just gonna have like smaller vertical versions of their existing IP. Some will come up with an app, who knows? They all have a different plan. They're just trying to stay relevant, right?
Well, jumping on that, the horror and other genres that have, people have done verticals like that. And sometimes right now they're not necessarily successful. I think a big piece of the puzzle that's missing, that is rapidly coming in, is the platforms that are there for it. I think, there was a horror put out on a platform where it didn't perform very well. I'm like, yeah, but look at the platform.
Yeah.
It's a romance platform. Put The Exorcist on Hallmark and see how it does.
Yeah.
And when it has a place, it's gonna hit.
Yeah.
And that's
But do those places exist for this alternative content?
they're coming in now.
Too.
They're starting to.
Yeah, like a lot of companies are trying and will fail, but that's just how this world works, right? But I think that there will be a place for all of this content, and right now there's a mad rush for content. Like, they really want content. They need, like, every platform that starts is going to have a library of a minimum of 100 completed projects on it for it to succeed. And that's kind of this.
Otherwise, people won't subscribe, although it's not always subscription.
You're just gonna burn.
They're just going to burn through it fast, right? And then move on to another platform.
But then on top of that, you've got to spend. Thank you. The marketing spend is also tremendous, and so that's the other. I'm not sure how much time we have, or if to talk even a little bit about where the opportunities are right now in terms of deal structure, opportunity with the existing platforms. That every platform has a different subscriber base. Some are smaller, some are quite large. Real Short right now being the largest one and the most off-quoted. You'll see in the trades or the headlines. But when you have Real Short, for example, where they deem a hit show, which in vertical vernacular means a blockbuster, you have to hit 50 million views. Chances are, though, your marketing spend is far lower than, say, a drama or Good Short, which is another one of the bigger ones, and these are both headquartered in Los Angeles, by the way. They deem a hit show like 10 million views. You know, but their marketing spend is a lot higher. So as an investor, if you know what that looks like in terms of a successful project, it's not just obviously pairing the right IP with the right platform, it's also understanding that the marketing spend is just like traditional film and TV also.
The marketing spend is in relation to, like, if it's a $175,000 budget, the marketing spend is
It could be
not.
millions, it could be millions.
Good.
It depends on the platform and it depends on the project as well.
Were you gonna say something?
Just that, yeah, the marketing and the platforms are the big piece of the puzzle that's going to kick it off. Because when we talk in terms of, like Monika was saying, like, a wide range of content can work here. At the beating heart of verticals is they're fast paced, they're full of hooks, they keep you watching. And I think we're in this lovely era of prestige TV, which is great, you know, to have these shows that are immersive and it feels like you're watching an Oscar movie, but at the same time, audiences are craving something that's fast and fun and light, and the world is heavy, we need some fun, and I think that's where verticals really hit. That's the hook. As to you know, whether they catch or not, that'll be on the platforms and the marketing that expands the audience out past where it is right now into other spaces that haven't necessarily aren't familiar with verticals yet.
Vertical microdramas.
Okay, let me just shift to production here. We've kind of covered a couple things like the camera and cropping and stuff like that. What about when it comes to blocking actors for a vertical frame? Have you guys experienced anything notable? Like in a regular movie, you might have a 2-shot of people walking and talking, and that might not work as well in the vertical frame.
Yeah, it's there's certain shots that just don't exist. 3-shot works if you're standing across the room or if you're stacked like the Three Stooges, but if it's a close-up, you're really snug. It's definitely something where, you know, I think there's some filmmakers that have said, oh, how do you even get the artistry in the frame? You can't tell the story when you don't have the sides. I'm like, no, you just have to, you tell it differently. For example, in Beneath Crimson Sails, we have a sword fight. Swords are really long and horizontal, which is like, okay, what are we going to do? Well, they're sword fighting up a hill now. So we've got that up and down movement. We've got our foreground, midground, background, but it's arranged differently. And thankfully, people are vertical and ships are fairly vertical, so it worked well.
But it's also it's about portraiture for the most part. So we really are in here a lot, and so it becomes mostly it's story, and it's also this look. So like hair and makeup, wardrobe is very important. Less so obviously than background. That's not really part of it. We'll do some, sometimes we'll do some sort of sweeping shots or establishing shots. But
It's the faces and the acting.
It's the portrait.
Let's talk about acting. We have 2 actors and a casting director here. It would be a crime not to talk about acting. Julie and Alicia, like, what makes it different than like on a traditional film set? Now, I know that the pace is faster shooting.
Well, that's
right?
like TV.
As is TV?
It's-
Is this not
In that way, it's
faster?
similar to TV. I think, do you want to go?
Well, how many days did it take to shoot yours?
12, but we had a couple days that were partial days, and we
So
went
like
through
12
that
is a
at
lot,
times.
right?
It's a lot. We had a few of those were travel days as well. We went to the island 3 times, so
Okay.
we didn't make it easy on ourselves.
Okay.
We do shoot these quickly. I think 8 to 10 days with a rest day, 7 to 10 days. I'm at, it's closer to TV in that, you know, you're you're doing it, 1 to 3 takes, you're moving on. Like, it's sort of that kind of a pace. But we have, well, I guess similar to TV, I guess for day players, but we have like no prep time. You get your feature full length, 100-page script. You're lucky if you get it a week in advance, unless you're doing your own project. One-liners become like your saving grace. And in terms of character development, script analysis, it's like similar to a Hallmark, everything's on the page. There is no subtext. The heroine definitely has a journey, always. She usually starts, very naive and vulnerable, and she ends up very confident. And
Is it always in heroine?
yeah, pretty much. The villain does not have an arc. He does not ever change. They're just horrible, and then they always get their comeuppance. Usually they're dragged out kicking and screaming. Sometimes they're killed, but yeah. So, you're sort of, you're kind of, I think the one nice thing about it, maybe you would agree with me, is that because we're not in prestige television realm, they're a great place for us as actors to be able to play a little bit. There's less pressure. They don't have to be, well, they never have to be perfect. Your performance never has to be perfect. But, it's a vertical microdrama. We're just there to tell the story as it is on the page. So if you feel like throwing in something a little extra, you can. It might get cut out because it's too extra, but
I think one of the biggest things that I feel is something that's a difference is it's always, the drama's cranked up to 11, so it's never really real. You're screaming and you're ugly and you're, terror,
bigger the better.
but you're not doing that thing that you do in film and TV where you're really dropping in and it's really real and it is really scary or it is really it's that thing where it's above reality. So you can watch people be like screaming.
So you can separate yourself from it.
And it's amusing and it's fun rather than, oh my God, okay, that's a bit traumatic.
But you can get good at it too. I mean, it's very soap opera. It's very they're all about the reactions. I will say though, I did get to lead one. So for the most part, our leads are very young. These things skew very young. This actually is our little celebrities are the boys, the young boys.
Not the young boy.
The younger boys. I'm 51, though, so I feel like I can say that now. But anyways, yeah, so 20 and 30s. But occasionally they consider us mature actors. We do get to lead a project. And I did one, and they wanted it very grounded. They wanted it very real. It was very emotional, very intense. And at times I was like, oh my God, you guys, I think we're doing something really different here. Like, this is going to be like one of those things where we're like, we just did something totally new. And then it came out, and my friend here
I watched the whole thing.
watched the whole thing horrified. It did.
I was.
The audience didn't know what to do with it. It was so not the genre. It just didn't. It was also a big mashup of a bunch of performance acts, but
It also said it had triplets in it, and there were 0 triplets in it, and there were 0 babies in it, and so I was waiting the whole time for the clickbait drop, but they never arrived.
clickbait.
Okay, so Monika, as a casting director, what do you look for when actors are auditioning for these stock characters? Because sometimes, a casting director or a director might, this person really surprised me. This person brought some nuance. These are just stock characters. There's someone who's really angry. There's someone who's emotional. There's someone who's heroic. Do you want them to come into the audition and just nail that straightforward emotion, no layers, or are you looking for something fresh?
Well, there's no slow burn in a vertical, and so I think you have to, people will be like, should I just do bad acting? And I'm like, please don't do bad acting. Every time you're acting, you have to be behaving in a way that is believable and truthful in that set of circumstances. And if you're in a situation where, your cousin is your brother, and you're dating your uncle, and,
You're having triplets.
there's triplets, but there's not, and you don't know what's going on, and everything is crazy, you're gonna have an elevated reaction to that, right? So you have to act truthful within the set of circumstances so if you go on and you have this weird situation where you find out that I don't know what absurdity it could be, but something really absurd, if you're just trying to look very serious and grounded and slow burn, it's not even interesting, right? But it's also not believable. So grounded acting is for a situation where you would behave in a grounded way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
These circumstances are wild. So we need people to behave in a way where, another good thing is, I was told by my children that if you have Facebook, you're very old. So I guess I'm very old. But when you're scrolling down Facebook and there's all those reels that show up on the screen, they want you to click on them. That's why they're there. And if someone is just standing there being freaking boring in the real, you're not gonna click on it. Like, we want performances where if they're scrolling their old person Facebook, like I am, and I see the reel pop up, like, I want to see an emotion or some sort of reaction, and then I'm like, oh gosh, it's happening in that video. Like, I'm gonna click it. So you're
like the billionaire video we watched when the Beyonce comes in.
Sharon Baldwin, are you here tonight? Oh my God.
like that story.
Sharon and Christine are two.
That was very memorable.
Generally speaking,
they said it was the best remake ever.
Yeah.
Like seen ever. But like those moments are what's gonna get views, right? If someone is standing there like inwardly emoting to themselves, it's like, it's freaking boring. Like, I don't want to watch. We don't want to be bored watching these. Like, you need to drive the point home really fast. It's not gonna be like, it's not like Dune where you're like waiting for something to happen and Olivia ends and all that. But like, it was just like the book. Anyways, like, it's not like you're gonna sit there and you're just waiting for a thing to happen. Like, it's happening. Like, it happens fast, and you need to. That needs to be in your performance. Like, you have to be interesting. But what's awesome about that is that if you're like man number one or whatever, like, if you're talking as man number one, like in that moment, it's like man number one is all that matters. So like, and even if you get the tiniest little role, it's like in that moment, like you're in it for real. There's no little part that doesn't matter. Like, we really need it to be big and believable and good out of every character, which is fun, right?
Can I ask you a professional question?
Yes.
For all the actors in the room.
Yeah.
Are you open to seeing two different takes? One really big and then one kind of grounded, at least so you can see some range?
As long as it's different. Like, if you send 2 takes that are like exactly the same, I'm like, why? And then my assistants are like, why did they do the same thing? Tell them not to. Like, yeah, like I would love to see different versions. Because if one of them is what the client is looking for, just don't show them the other one.
Right.
This is what's bad about self-tapes, is that you can't ask them for something different. They just like whatever they sent you.
Yeah, I try to put a lot of notes, but I think I write too many notes. But
And so how many of the auditions that you see are self-tape? 100% or like?
we do a little bit in person. I always, even before COVID, really preferred self-tape because, like, a lot of people really need to update their headshots, and a lot of people, like, when we were in person, sometimes when I'd walk in the room and we'd be like, you're like 40 years older than you were in your headshot. So like, straight off the bat, like, you're probably not playing a 12-year-old in this movie. And then you're like, well, crap, now we've wasted an entire slot where we could have seen someone new. So I like how it allows new talent to kind of get in the door. And 4 of us watched every single one of those cell tapes. Like, I see people out in the street and I'm like, do you know them or did I just watch them in a cell tape? Like, it's very weird. But yeah, no, you should do multiple. And cell tape has its ups and downs.
Can you think of any auditions that really stood out for you and what was good about them?
Like,
Sorry if I'm putting you on the spot there.
well, I mean, like, yeah, like, there are lots of good auditions. A lot of people are really good. Like, the actors in Vancouver.
What makes them good?
If the thing ends and you're like, oh, I was watching that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain
If you
it.
get caught up in it.
Yeah, you believe that it's happening. Like, really acting is just making it so that we believe that what's happening is
I
happening.
believe.
But
Yeah.
you just said something I'd like you to repeat. Something about Vancouver.
Yeah, Vancouver, like, when I watch especially like a union feature set of auditions, we're like, damn, people in Canada are so good. Like, our talent is really good in Vancouver and it's really good in Canada. You know,
Okay, so you mentioned union there. Let me ask you this. Let's say one of your kids was 20 and was getting work on verticals, and they were eligible to join the union, but they didn't know if they should, and there's no certainty that they, get a bunch of work in the union.
It's a bad week to ask.
So what would you advise that person? Because a lot of young actors, they're on the fence. When do I join the union? Do I join the union? I think a lot of young actors join too soon and then miss out on opportunities. If it was your kid and they were an actor, what would you tell them?
Here's what I'll tell you. My kids are both full SAG, full UBCP actor members.
And then they're young. They're like
They're 12 and 16, and I didn't allow them to join until they had almost 20 credits. Because I think it's a very serious decision to join a union.
Right.
especially if it's a professional commitment that's financial and it has an impact on your day-to-day life. There's a rule now that you have to join at 3 credits. What
Have to join?
It's called four-string.
you have to join at 3 credits.
What if you don't join?
Well, they won't let you be on any union project.
Oh.
Anyway, it's a whole thing. But I love the union. They're very nice. We have a group chat on WhatsApp. That's how often I'm always inquiring, because I'm the person who fills out the form to bring the Americans up, and then I call the union and I'm like, don't approve it. You know I didn't see enough Canadians. Just say no. But like, I think that you should join when you have to join. And I did ask last week on one of my calls when they were just going to get rid of apprentice, because I don't really see the point of it anymore, because it used to be that you would join as an apprentice because your credits expired after 6 weeks, but now they don't expire anymore. So like, if you've ever done a union production, ever, your credits will all count. So like, if you did one when you were 2, and you did one when you were 14, you did another one when you were, like, you go to then, when you're 17, apply for a permit to do a union role. At that point, they'll say to you, you can't get any more permits. You have to join now if you want to proceed with the project. So I think join when you have to join, but be realistic that it's not a race anymore. Like, they're gonna hold those credits, they're not gonna expire, so you can take your time.
Okay. I've seen casting notices, maybe it was one of yours, I don't know, stating that you wanted actors that have had experience in vertical production. Why would that need to be stated?
Well, because it moves really quickly.
Right.
And because, well, like 3 years ago, we didn't have like a little star system in the vertical world, but now we're getting to the point where it's already, people are trying to apply to be writers or directors or act in these, and it's all about mitigating risk, right? And so if you're going to be a lead in a vertical, it is very helpful if you've already been a lead.
But it's just like competing for a union opportunity. Your union is there to tell the network or whoever's going to hire you that you have reached a certain level of artistry, craft, and professionalism and can hold your own on that set if you're hired. So it's pretty much the same thing.
I also think it would be honestly traumatizing to try to do your first acting role in a vertical, and you're doing 20 like pages a day, and they're like, you get one take. Like, I wouldn't want that to be my first experience as an actor.
Especially if it's like a role that involves physical intimacy as well.
Yeah, like it would be a nightmare. Like, I feel like people should ease into things like this. Like, it's not a race, right? Like, every acting experience you get, you learn a little bit more. And so I don't know. I'm shocked when people will throw a completely new actor in a lead role, because I just feel like it's not going to be fun.
And I want to say something too about the acting on these. I think you and I could agree on this too. But for women, I think especially on these sets, our roles tend to be, we carry the emotional burden on these, as well as the physical burden. They can be incredibly physically challenging, not just because we're shooting, up to, I think my max is 19 pages in a day. But I did
Pages a day?
Yeah. I did a show where I hadn't seen the script ahead of time. I had no prep. I had a few days. I was playing the evil mom, but I had like 1,000 more lines than the lead. And for 3 straight, and it was in a who saw the 2009 movie Precious? You guys remember that? Okay, yeah. So it was like that. I had to I was verbally, physically, almost sexually abusive to my daughter. It was so intense. And for 3 straight days. And we had a particular director who wasn't doing 1 to 3 takes per shot. She was doing like 7 to 10. It was like all punching and kicking. It was weird. Anyways, I don't want to go on and on. But yeah, so these are, and to your point, knowing what you're walking into on these are really, they're different.
Do you get any rehearsal for that? Like, does the word rehearsal, is it rehearsal a thing ever?
No. You're lucky if your director has a shot list.
I mean, like on a TV show, like I used to be a first AD, and there wouldn't be rehearsals on TV shows most of the time. You'd rehearse just before the camera starts.
Do like a blocking rehearsal. Occasionally, maybe you'll do a little rehearsal just before camera. I always ask to tape it, please, just in case. Move on. But no.
Alrighty then. And so I'd say you have to be like even more prepared as an actor than you do on a set where you've got a little bit more luxury. Like you got to have your crap together.
What did you say? When's the last time you did a regular project, like a
regular vertical?
Yeah, but-
not in like
regular.
Hand me the dead one.
or a film and TV project?
Oh God, I can't remember. Can't remember. It's been a minute.
I was just gonna, I wondered, because,
Oh, running gun.
okay, all right, well, okay, so yeah.
You just never
Wait.
work under calm circumstances. where
No, that's
You
the
just tried on it.
reason why I think Vancouver is so well suited to kill it in verticals is that, you know, we came up on Crazy Eights and Running Gun and they're like, you're gonna have no time and no money. And we're like, yeah, try us.
It's true.
It's true.
Okay. So what is it like working with a intimacy coordinator? Are those a thing on most sets?
Yes, amazing. Amazing, for so many reasons. I mean, the obvious.
Does it slow things down?
I think there's a time and a place for that kind of time manipulation.
Do stunt coordinators slow things down?
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's safer. There's to make it safer.
I mean, if the production is doing the correct thing, they would have discussed the intimacy prior
Yeah.
and set up meetings prior. If they're doing the script is changed and you're all naked now, then it's gonna slow a lot of stuff down. But like, if they do things the right way, it shouldn't slow anything down. It should make it much safer and I think more smooth. Because I think if people are tense and if people are uncomfortable, that's gonna slow things down more than having an intimacy coordinator, right?
Yeah, totally. And I want to just add to that too. I think a lot of times when we think of intimacy coordinators or coordination, we think of, you know, like a sexual scene or something that involves like physical touching. But it relates to anything that can be provocative or even trauma awakening, something, you know, in our mind, something mental. And I've watched, especially, I like to think that as we become more seasoned in our craft, we start to learn our instrument, which is physical, it's mental, and we start to become more self-aware, and we learn how to sort of navigate the world as an artist using this as our instrument. But for an emerging actor who hasn't yet sort of experienced that and is still feeling emotions really big, sometimes when they go through an emotional scene, the fallout of that can be really incredible. And yeah, to your point, can really add to all kinds of things. And so to have an intimacy coordinator there who can be like, oh, are you feeling sad right now? You just, you know, like, let's go take a moment and really process that, can be not just for that set, not just for that project, but for that person, for the rest of their career. I don't know. I just feel like, God, I wish we had them in the 90s. Don't you guys?
Yeah. Okay. Let's. We are coming up against the clock here. Who from the audience has some questions? Some steal one of these.
Sure.
Here you go. Yeah. Just like anybody. Let's hear some questions.
Okay, so distribution, are we talking rev share models? Are we talking straight buyouts? Like what's that looking like? Can I know it's new? Can any of you speak to that?
I'll touch on it briefly. I've signed a bunch of NDAs this week. But yes to all. There's rev share models, there's buyouts, there's hybrids. A lot of the newer platforms coming up are doing straight rev share. I would say there's so many of them and 50% of zero is zero. So definitely if that's what you're kind of, have a lot of meetings and see what's on the table before committing.
And is 50-50 a typical split?
50-50 right now is probably the most common split I'm hearing. There's better, there's worse.
It is all over the map though. Like, and right now, one thing I will say is that it's still being figured out, and there's nothing more awkward than realizing that you're like the adult in a meeting or like in the situation when you can talk to them and you're like, oh my God, like they're making this up as they go along. They have no idea. So there's a lot of space now. If you're a solid negotiator, if you're comfortable negotiating, as long as you can bring something to the table that is reasonable, there's a lot of opportunity now to strike a good deal. Yeah.
I'm going to add to this. I'm not sure we're quite here yet, at least in terms of our current platform partnership opportunities. The marketing is not in our hands. That is exclusive to the platform. They handle it, they finance it, they strategize it, they execute it. And that has a huge impact on, not always, but for the most part, how the show does. So at some point, likely the marketing will be in our hands. So coming from a marketing background and looking sort of future forward, understanding the marketing behind it and starting to work out how that marketing could be strategized through your own teams is going to be very advantageous in the future, because there probably will be those cooperative marketing opportunities. You'll be able to market on your own, and certainly if you're going to start doing your own UGC or self-distributing your own project, you're going to want to know what that marketing is and how it works too. So that will make you very smart.
Who else?
Thank you so much for coming. I have a quick comment and then a quick question. First of all, this is a risk-taking venture. Remember in the early parts of movie making, people were so worried when acting, when films were made from silent films to voice films.
Yeah.
Everybody was so frightened and afraid of where we are today. So don't be afraid of these risks. My question is, why do you have to concentrate strictly for the young for the young? Have you thought of going to like senior verticals for seniors? There are a lot of people, our demographic right now is quite important, especially in the next 15 years when people over 50 are going to be the ones who are literally population. Have you ever thought of things that you could put into nursing homes, such as senior places, senior assistant places, and make verticals? And seniors love to work. Please go and see the movie, the documentary, Senior Screamers. It's an amazing production about seniors making a film together. So if you're going to start spreading your wings, please do consider that. And thank you all for being here today.
Yeah, that's a huge thing that Alicia and I have been working really hard to get into the minds of the platforms. Like, it's just is so obvious that if people will want to see themselves reflected in a story, right? And so, I mean, there are always, it's not just vertical too, like traditional film and TV, they're really all about the 20 to 35, but there are stories for everybody. And in fact, Robert wrote a little script that we were going to do.
We might have time.
That is added to your song. But yeah, and I think right now, if there's a story you want to see, there's never been a better time to make that story.
Right, that nursing home vertical.
Yeah.
What is your name? Sorry.
I'm Jacqueline Robbins, my Toya's Joyce.
Oh my gosh, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see anybody right now. I've probably been looking at you all, but I'm not
It's
seeing
subtle.
anybody.
We're in a series of unfortunate events.
Oh my gosh, yeah, amazing.
But you mentioned triplets. Well, we're actually here. There's twins here. So if you're looking for the twins or triplets,
I am not your mother. Let's clear that up.
The twins have arrived to claim you as the.
That would be very microdrama if I was, though. A little time jump. Thank you very much for your contribution, and you're absolutely right. And to Monika's point, if you're curious about microdrama, it sounds like you're union, so
we are human.
yeah.
And that's why we're here, because again, this is a different platform. It's the way we communicate. I don't know if anybody saw, this is just a comment and I'll have a question. I watched the Academy Awards, as so many did. They did that little parody on verticals. It's Conan was trying to influence the younger audience. The vertical, of course, was really funny because he took classic films, made them into verticals, and then everything was cut out. You couldn't see the eyes, the nose. So again, there's that claustrophobic appearance when you make a vertical. You certainly save money on background or horizontal because it's basically face to face. Also, the question about how real you need to be in a reel. So you have to be grounded, even if it's absurd. You have to try and be as grounded in the absurdity as you can possibly be. I'm also worried a little bit about AI. What are the opportunities here that this could be sabotaged through AI? We already have some actors who are trying to get representation, and they are fully generated through artificial intelligence. So what is the significance there?
I've seen thousands of acting performances, and I'll tell you right now, there's no AI that is ever going to do as good of a job as an actual actor. And I'm a little worried about voice actors, but because I feel like it's a little bit easier to replicate that. But anyone who understands what the actual quality looks like audiences don't want robots. They want to walk into Starbucks and see a person that they see on a screen. They want to have like creepy parasocial relationships with like thinking that they know about someone. Like they don't care about a robot. They care about a person. And I mean, what are these like extra good cartoons? Like, I don't really know. Like, I feel like they're not going to, I'm not as worried about it as I feel like a lot of people are. I think that if you were Tom Cruise, maybe you gotta worry about it. But I feel like the average person, I don't feel that it's as big of a threat. I feel like there are some disturbing kind of deep fake things that could happen. I'm way more worried about that than I am worried about it replacing actors, because you cannot replace a person. And like being a fan, you're going to be a fan of a real person that you can run into, or you can get a what's it called, autograph, on the red carpet, or like you can follow them on social media. Like that is not replaceable, so I don't worry. But I do think we need to be pretty careful about some of the like deep fake propaganda and things like that. I worry about that stuff. But.
Definitely, there's a few platforms that have released fully AI verticals, and there's a very vocal pushback in the vertical fan community online. I think a couple platforms have.
Definitely here.
Like it.
Yeah, in North American, European-based audiences, I think a couple platforms kind of posted a clip, and every comment underneath is, "We don't want this."
Megan, thank you very much. My sister and I are going to quit this business when we get it right.
And we hope.
We hope we never get it right. And if you're looking at Christine, we're 76 years old. You can't believe that, but we are still vital, and the demographic out there is us. I mean, we can play young and old and animals. I mean, we are anything. But nevertheless, it needs to be opened up, and we are union, and I'm hoping that will be an acceptable platform for us as well, because we want to do the best professional job, because we need to represent those who want to see this.
Yeah.
That's very important. Thank you.
All right, who else has a question?
Hi, my name is Christine, and I gotta say I'm actually the first person who brought the vertical series into Vancouver. I'm the founder of Vancouver Chinese Film Festival, and about 10 years ago, when the vertical series started to being popular in China, and a lot of like film writers, they want to submit their vertical films and trying to find the co-production opportunities here in Vancouver. And by the time, I'd say, unfortunately, they are the North American market. They are not like kind of like accept this kind of like new thing or format. It was like over almost a decade ago, and I was trying to seeking for the opportunities, and then it was the pandemic. So back to the time, it makes even the vertical series grow, because everybody knows that in China, if you want to make a film, there is a screening. So you have to do the inspection about the script screening. So the web series starting from TikTok, and then also another like WeChat thing in China. That one does not need to go through the screening. So that's like a lot of people starting doing the vertical, and with very, very low budget. I'd say in the very beginning, the vertical series was not, like the technique part was not very professional. They just like use no budget, hiring like non-professional actors. But actually after COVID, after 2019, there's a huge revolution in the vertical series, because of a lot of film crews, filmmakers, they cannot find a job. And then the market is very slow. Even like only 2 to 3 films are allowed to be produced by the time in China. So a lot of filmmakers and professional directors, cinematographers, actors, they came into vertical series. That makes like boom of the vertical series. And then, I don't know, 2 years ago, like Robert at VFX, we were even talking about this.
Yeah, I remember.
By the time it was like an unknown market here.
I
So-
remember you telling me all about it and
Yeah.
getting into this.
Yeah, so like everybody see in 2 years, there's also a huge market, like in North America. And I say everybody being as a professionalism, and then I'm a mom of 3 kids. So there is a small challenge of making vertical. As Monika said, they're just like bring the script from China and they just Google translate it. So the concept or even they're doing the same thing. So if we really want to do another revolution, maybe we can, from the production side, from the script, we can just rewrite or we can create our own story with the remarkable stories into the vertical. And then once everybody is will accept, and then there's a huge market there. As Alicia said, there was about 20 being made over a month here in Vancouver. In China, hundreds of productions every week, weekly.
Yeah.
So it goes very, very, very fast. I believe there are a lot of producers here in this room, and then we still have accepting the web series every year. So if anyone is interested, and they come to the festival, and then we are happy to share all these good stories. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another question up there?
Sorry, I didn't think I was going to get next. So I had a question for Alicia. You talked a little bit about demographics, specifically how microdramas are catered towards female women to be watched, women who are watching alone. Do you see microdramas kind of adapting and going to other spaces? I've seen some that are for queer audiences, but that's like such a specific audience, and I know you're going for like millions and millions of views. Do you see microdramas adapting to fit other demographics, or does the genre not work because it's a microdrama?
Queer stories should be
Oh,
big
yeah.
for women. I mean,
Yes,
look at
they
Edith Bradbury.
definitely are. And I'm gonna let Monika and Julie weigh in on this as well, but thank you for your question. Absolutely, yeah. When microdramas sort of first exploded here, the main demographic was female presenting, 35 to 65. And they did resonate very specifically with the storyline of the bullied girl who needs saving, and they really wanted to see the villain get their comeuppance. That was a storyline that really resonated with them. And then, of course, the werewolf. Great. But no, definitely there are, for sure. We're moving into all kinds of genres now, all kinds of love stories. We will see more ages. We're moving into, thank goodness, way more diversity in terms of like age and race. Yeah, but I would like you guys to weigh in too, because of course, yes, that's an expert.
Yeah, I think there's verticals are it's just the tip of the iceberg right now. I think one of the things that I'm really excited to see personally is fantasy starting to take a really interesting foothold. And fantasy is, I mean, who's the Princess Bride for? Is it a kissing movie? Is it? It's for everyone. And I think we can see there's been verticals that we auditioned for and looked at, and they're like, oh yes, we're trying to develop them for men. And I think it's funny to see kind of the development. Sometimes it's just like a man is the bullied person who needs to be saved, and it's like, doesn't quite. It's maybe something a little different. I think yeah, having stories that are built for anybody. Verticals have this beautiful engine of like high stakes. It's about love and revenge and pain and all of these really core human emotions. And when that comes down to it, queer stories are for everybody. You know, fantasies for everybody. These are stories that are they can resonate with a huge audience because they're based around these very human emotions that we all share because we all have way more in common than we do different.
If you ever have the unfortunate role of sitting in with a network about international distribution, they'll always try to steer clear of some queer content because it doesn't play out well in different markets. And so that is a conversation for every single level of like traditional film and TV, every kind of media. But like right now I'm casting one that films in Toronto that's a lesbian love story. The leads are Canadianized, Chinese, like they speak Cantonese and Mandarin and they speak English. So I was like, when I got the script, I was like, oh my God, like what is the platform? And it's a Chinese platform. And I was like, what, is this even allowed? Like I've seen the list. I've been told what can and can't happen in the script. And I think that in different markets, some of these stories will play out. We're able to get queer women in a lot of markets where men, it doesn't play quite as easily in international markets, but there are ways of doing it and doing it in a way that is more acceptable in other markets. But a great thing about these being apps is that, you know, people are watching them alone. It's not regulated necessarily in the same way, so there's more opportunity than ever. And of course, thank you Canada for Julies Rivalry. I've never had so many gay sports stories pitched to me than in like the past month. And I'm just like, awesome. Now when we go to a restaurant and a hockey game is on, we're like, Julies Rivalry! And they're like, no, this is the hockey game.
Yeah, we're actually developing one too, by the way, just FYI.
Yeah.
Last question.
Sweet, thank you. You guys had mentioned that, Julie, for example, your microdrama had swayed more towards the like PG side, and you guys were trying to reach a younger audience. Do you see with animation, for example, that is usually catered towards a much younger audience? Do you think animation could be developed into microdramas and could be used to hit those younger audiences?
Toes for goats.
It's very complicated when you're dealing with marketing rules and like what you're allowed to create for like minors. So that becomes a little bit tricky when it comes to anything on an app. But there's room in the animation world for one of the barriers with these apps is that you're not necessarily allowed to market toward minors. So if there's a paywall, anyway, it's very tricky legally in terms of what we allow in marketing spaces for like content aimed at minors. Like there's especially with animation, there are like a lot of laws that can make, I think, verticals and platforms tricky, but is there room for animation in the vertical space? Yeah, of course there is for 100%.
Yeah, and just, we're gonna start to see, is that Gavin, by the way? Okay, I have to say hi to you. I can't believe I can see you because I can't see anybody better. But we're starting to see some scripted reality emerge. There are some sort of thrillers and horrors starting to get tested too. To your point earlier about are we going to see shows directed at men? There's an action kind of movement now happening. Lots of guns. Karate. There was a musical. So, yeah.
I think it's all just going to come down right now to the creators are ready. It's the platforms that where does it go and how, there's a lot of rules about where things can be, how things can be marketed to minors. If there's a platform where it's like, we have designed this and it's educational programming or something, vertical it's on your phone. It can be anything you want it to be in a way, as long as there's a platform developed and a space for it. And that's kind of what's catching up.
Yeah, and so to bring this full circle, where we are now is this very interesting inflection point where we are seeing now, and this is Googleable, but we are seeing networks and legacy studios in also microdrama divisions. We do have domestic apps that are emerging. Some are have been created by seasoned executives out of LA, some are, newer groups that are establishing themselves and experimenting in the space. But definitely the next 6 to 12 months are going to be very interesting, and it's difficult to predict what's going to happen, but we're all gonna watch it. And but first you should watch Julie's show as soon as it comes out. When is it out?
I can't announce the official date, but it'll be the first 2 weeks of April. And I do want to emphasize, I mean, obviously I want it to do well because it's my baby and our baby. But also, we vote with our views right now, and platforms are tracking this data in a very, very intensive way. So if you see something that you are like, oh, I want this to succeed because I want to be making something like that, support the thing, because the more they see these things succeeding, there's one rule in verticals: it has to make them money, and if it does, they'll put more money into it, and you'll get to do it more.
Yeah.
And so that app is MoviePix, MUVPIX.
Yeah, movie picks and Candy Jar.
Candy Jar, by the way, you guys, also is a great app to become familiar with. They're doing very different things, and also to your point up there, they're doing different genres and all kinds of love stories too. Please watch them in the apps and not on Dailymotion or YouTube, even though you can watch them for free. Those views don't count to the platform, so just to your point.
And also keep an eye on Movie Picks, because they are an emerging platform that is incredibly supportive of creatives and independent, and they're very well set up to compete in the market. And if they do well, they're looking for creatives.
We need to wrap it up. So my nursing home MicroDrama is gonna have to wait. It's something we're gonna have to get out.
Don't we have time?
We have time? Okay,
How many of you want to see that?
okay, we need some audience help from it. So, okay, you're directing it. And so the roles are handsome man, evil owner of the care home. There's a sweet grandmother, and there's a beautiful nurse. You can cast these two, or you can pull from the audience. Let's take 5 minutes and we'll have it acted out here, and it'll be fast because that's how it goes on a micro.
What's our casting process?
Oh my God,
You're a casting director. Is there a casting director here?
Who wants to be? Do you got other roles
Well,
that you guys
you've got-
want to be
you-
direct booked on?
Or do you want to cast from the audience?
Well, do you guys want to do this?
We could produce it.
Okay, Julie.
You could go pick them from the audience.
Yeah. Okay. Let's
You don't have to
find.
be
We
just
just
shy.
had man. Why doesn't Gavin come down and do it? Because I know Gavin's an actor. Okay.
He's a handsome man.
We definitely need.
Okay, casting her.
We're gonna need Kendall to be beautiful.
Okay, Kendall's getting pigeonholed again.
Do Jackie and Joyce want to fight over Sweet Grandmother? Or
Whoever gets down here
Whoa,
first,
getting
whoever
there.
gets down here first gets to be the sweet grandmother. Okay, and an evil owner.
By the way, everybody, coming down the stairs, Kendall Schwab.
So Kendall was, she was the lead in The Millionaires.
She was the lead of it. She was a doctor. Jen, you just saw her. I didn't know you were here.
I saw her face.
I can't see anybody.
Guys, we need an evil owner.
I got you.
All right. Oh, yeah, I was gonna say. Here we go. Big one up over here.
Get out of here. Handle your research. Your aging research, or your grading is out on the street.
You can't do this. She has nowhere else to go. I need more time.
Don't let her scare you, dear. Do what's right.
You've both wasted enough of my time and money. This experiment ends now. Her experiment works, and I'm proof.
Mr. Harris!
You're so young.
Thanks to you. This is impossible. The doctor declared you dead. Thank God he did. Because my life insurance just paid for this whole care home. And now you work for me.
It isn't a theater, you're allowed to bow. It's a theater show. You can bow. Okay, thank you guys very much for playing with us there. Wanted to do something a little fun. Oh, I mean, I was just studying these microdramas and that it just came to me.
The water droplets, but.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to give a big thanks to Alicia and Julie and Monika for their time in educating us about this genre, these vertical microdramas. And again, I want to thank Alliance Française and this beautiful building and theater and Creative BC once again for sponsoring, and the Celluloid Social Club for partnering with us, and all of our sponsors and all of our volunteers that helped out with this evening and putting this together and preparing for it.